it number 2, by the way? I feel like this is going to be a regular thing. Or something.
Episode number 2.
Yeah, which is not really, this is actually episode 4, which is why we put that in the title of this video.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to be confused. But it is ThroneCast. I'm Seth Dunlap. He's T-Bob Hebert.
What's going on?
He hosts double coverage with Christian Garrick every morning.
Yeah.
6 to 9 a.m.
Yeah.
on 3WL 1350. You can find it on the TuneIn app. If you can't get it here in New Orleans, maybe from out of town, but here still want to listen to him talk.
All of this is true.
Would. Maybe you do because you're watching the video.
All of this.
Anyways, this episode, we're talking about episode 4.
Yeah.
Now, if you haven't watched episode 4 yet, you got it DVR'd, and you don't want to watch this because there's going to be tons of spoilers here.
Turn off
Give
the
you like
video.
2 seconds to turn it off.
Don't look at this,
Right.
anything besides here. I'm not
Spoilers
even sure if you can read it, but either way, turn it off.
This is his artwork, by the way.
This is my tribute to the Mother of Dragons and her propensity for justice.
Yeah, so let's talk about the
Dive right
Mother
in
of
there.
Dragons
Yep.
and her sacking of Marine.
Yes.
Because that is one of the big arcs of the story. I said last week I'd like a whole episode just with her, right? And we didn't get a whole episode. We certainly got way more Daenerys than we have all this season and maybe ever, I think. Very big scene, long scene with her. And she sent Grey Worm to infiltrate, rally the slaves, and get them to revolt. They did. And seems like without much resistance, she sacked the city. And Marine's now hers. And the ending of that scene was a little odd for me, so instead of just kind of moving on like she had been, she's kind of taken up residence there. At least she was up top. I don't know for how long.
Well,
so she's kind of queen of the city now.
Yeah, she had kind of, I think she was feeling herself a little bit. Definitely, when you look, she played this whole sacking of Marine perfectly. First off, last episode, she speaks to the slaves in their language, which I'm not entirely sure what language it is, but that's not really the point. She kind of lowers them, or lowers herself to their level in that moment. Then she fires the catapults full of all the slave collars that are no longer slaves. So she she plants that seed in their head, right? That maybe we can be free. And then I loved the scene with the slaves, you know, discussing what are we going to do? Can we rebel? We should join her. No, we shouldn't. Like, I lived through 2 slave revolts, boy. They don't work. And then Grey Worm shows up and, you know, gives them weapons. Next thing you know, Daenerys owns the city. Just a very shrewd move on her part. Minimal loss of troops. Yeah. When you look at how she took the city. So far, no one has really mustered a very good defense at all against Daenerys, especially considering how powerful these slave masters are supposed to be. And then obviously probably the biggest part that stands out the most, just due to the violence of it, of Daenerys' part in last night's show, was her way of dealing with the masters. Yeah, that was a little intriguing. It's the first time we've seen her with a little shade of gray. She's been very sympathetic, still is. I mean, you can't really defend what those masters were doing with because they killed.
Yeah,
exactly. They killed all those little kids pointing towards the city, like this incredible drawing. And she had a great line last night.
Yeah, she said one of her
Sir Barristan Selmy
said, sometimes when you're queen, you need to show a little mercy. In a nutshell, I can't remember the exact wording. She says, I don't want mercy, I want justice. Yeah, exactly. And, well, she gave it to him. By the way, I know it's grotesque, but I tend to like that kind of stuff in my movies and TV. I like the hyper-violence. And the way they crucify them is so cinematic and just sickening, but it looks great on camera with the hand through the belly. You think about catching a nail through your hand and your belly, and then the other arm's hanging like that. Well, it was definitely justice for what they did. Yeah. You could argue whether it was smart or not in the long run for her. You do that? I feel like she's gonna be sliding down. You kind of alluded to it before, that she could start sliding down a slippery slope here, and I feel like this is her at the top. And now, you know, she's no longer purely innocent, and she's now done, maybe not completely bad things, certainly something, again, we go back to it, a shade of gray. Yeah, exactly. And she's done something morally questionable, because she had the city captured. Yeah. She had them as prisoners, rounded up. There was nothing they could do. And she decided to make an example out of them. Now, how will this play out when dealing with all the other cities and their leaders and the other city she'll eventually go to reclaim remains to be seen. But
I also just love that. I mean, I got goosebumps seeing how powerful she's got.
Yeah, and this was the first time we've seen Daenerys without her dragons, and I don't know how long. Right? Dragons did not make an appearance that whole episode.
Yeah, that's true.
And we won't really touch on it too much, but I love the arc with Grey Worm now.
Yeah,
they're kind of bringing his character out a little more. He's a very intriguing character to me. I feel like there's a lot they could do with his backstory that they haven't done yet.
And you get to understand Grey Worm's motivations a little bit. You know, he's taken as a child, made into a eunuch, which, you know, no genitals. And which is really sad because it seems like he has a crush on that slave
Lots of
girl.
eunuchs in this show.
There's a lot of eunuchs in this show, but he seems like he has a crush on that slave girl. Not gonna be able to act on it. That's all tough. But you understand his motivations. And you understand that beyond just being this perfect soldier as an Unsullied, which he is. I mean, they craft them to be just, you know, completely obedient, never gonna run, etc., etc. He takes all of those skills and then puts them on top of now this is something that he actually feels passionate about and want to do, and that means you have a very powerful combination to form a very powerful core fighting group in your army, and that's what you're seeing with Grey Worm. So it's nice to get him in.
Daenerys, Queen of Marine, and that's kind of how the
Queen of Marine, haha, that rhymes. All right, so
now we had that, and then obviously the big reveal, I guess if you could call it that, although I guessed right last week on who had done it, right? Everybody knew Littlefinger was involved.
What did you say last week?
Well, I said it was one of two. I said it was either the Queen of Thorns or Oberyn.
All right, so you're pretty much
Those are my
spot
two
on.
guesses. Yeah, so...
And we knew that.
Let's get out of it. Everybody knows now, right? Queen of Thorns admitted she did it without actually saying she did it when she was talking to Marjorie.
Yeah.
And I'll have to go back and watch all the episodes. Apparently, there was something to do with Sansa's necklace that she was given by
stone missing.
By Littlefinger's lackey, right?
Sir Dontress.
Right, which obviously wasn't her grandfather's grandmother's.
No, we're
not at all.
We're learning more and more that that necklace was not special to anyone except as a tool to assassinate the Mad King Joffrey. And I just think Littlefinger's character in this episode just really shows, I guess, just a little bit how crazy he is, yet how sane and in control he is as far as playing the power game, playing the Game of Thrones. You know, Sansa's trying to get into his head, get into his motivations. Like, okay, you've been allies with the Lannisters for a while. Why now kill King Joffrey, right? Like, why would you do that? Why would you betray your allies? And he kind of makes a pretty good point that, you know, if nobody knows what you're going to do next, it gives you a bit of an advantage. With how he's played the game so far, think about where he's come from. He came from nothing to Master of Coin, and now he's worked his way up into a title by marrying Lysa in the Eyrie. He's, Littlefinger's making moves.
So he would be Uncle Littlefinger now to Sansa, right?
Okay, yeah, I believe so, right? Because that's
Uncle Littlefinger.
Uncle Littlefinger.
Which is Catelyn's sister is Lysa.
He definitely really loves Sansa. Or maybe not loves, lusts. He wants to desperately have sex with Sansa.
Is it because he sees Catelyn in her?
I think so.
Yeah.
He was in love with Catelyn.
Yes. So
he still blames, you know, that was actually maybe one of Littlefinger's personal motivations, was taking out Ned Stark to get back at him for Catelyn. Because and then from that, so he was I guess he was behind that scheme. Now he's behind the scheme killing Joffrey. I mean, Littlefinger's probably at this point had a bigger impact on the show than anyone. Yeah. Really, which is kind of crazy.
But he's definitely killed more power players than anybody, or at least been involved in more killing. I still don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who actually ends up with more power, the Tyrells or Littlefinger, because the Queen of Thorns has proven she's pretty crafty.
Very crafty.
And very power hungry.
Yes.
Like when she was first introduced, she was kind of introduced as like this meek old lady who was kind of the matriarch of House Tyrell. She had a bit of a sharp tongue. Right. A scathing wit. Witty, but he didn't really think she would be important or have this big of a role. Now we find out she just murdered the king. Yeah, she runs it, right? And then I love every scene with her and Marjorie just because, and that's one thing about Game of Thrones that probably doesn't get credit for. You always hear about boobs and sex and violence and all this stuff, but Game of Thrones actually has a
a lot of strong female characters that are in powerful positions that a lot of times are domineering over the men, and the Queen of Thorns is the perfect example of that. And I love all the scenes with her and Marjorie, because you see, you know, this older lady who has worked into this position of power. She is so talented at getting what she wants, and that she's teaching her younger to be like her and to gain some of that power herself, and teaching her to manipulate Tommen, who is now in control of the throne. Tommen Baratheon.
Yeah, let's just.
Not Tommen
I know
Baratheon.
we had this towards the end or down the line, but let's talk about that, because that's interesting for me. The Marjorie, now Tommen aspect, where Marjorie is now going to basically take Tommen, grab him by the finger, so he won't be able to get away.
Which finger?
Queen again. I don't know.
Oh.
Not the little finger, apparently.
Oh.
But
yeah, how old is Tommen?
Sir, okay.
I didn't know whether to be cool with her sneaking into his room. I thought they were going to get down. Thought something was going to happen.
Well, she was very crafty.
That would have been a huge childhood fantasy of mine, but I mean,
I don't even think the Game of Thrones could have got away with that.
Yeah, probably not. And you know what? Honestly, by the end of the scene, he just looked too young.
He looked a little scared.
He looked a little scared. I think Marjorie's playing it perfectly by kind of approaching him from the friendship level. And I really loved a couple of the shots with Marjorie and a couple of her lines where she was really emphasizing keeping it a secret. And she looked very intense. Very
like right
intense. Yeah, no, exactly.
It was a little, yeah.
Like right up, it's a secret,
right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But,
okay, what now, if you didn't hate Joffrey enough, in this episode we find out that Sir Pounce, Tommen's cat,
Sir Pounce, which is an awesome, incredible cat name.
Yeah, Joffrey wanted to skin and cook him and put him in Tommen's food.
He was going to mix up his innards and put in food.
So he got even more Joffrey craziness after.
And if you've noticed, obviously not a lot of grief from Tommen concerning Joffrey.
He is, I will say this, he is becoming a redeeming character for the Baratheons and Lannisters.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how much he can be corrupted, and he's probably too young to have too big of a role in the show or the actual story of Westeros, but he is at least innocent enough where you feel bad for him, I suppose.
Well, and this is one of the great parts, right? Okay, Tommen, not a Lannister technically. He's a Baratheon. And right now you have Tywin Lannister on this side, and then I guess the Tyrells, whether you want to be Marjorie or Queen of Thorns, and they're both in Tommen's ear trying to get control of him. And Tommen, at the end of the day, while he maybe identifies a little more with the Lannisters, he was never Cersei's favorite. And he himself doesn't think of himself as a Lannister. He's a Baratheon first. So I don't know how much of an allegiance he would hold either way. So I'm saying the Tyrells, I think, have a fighting chance of getting in his ear, kind of manipulating him. So basically you have two different families competing for the throne through this young king.
I never thought of that aspect, that he would have an allegiance to his
mother, but
not the Lannisters. Not
Tywin necessarily. And I'm sure he respects his grandpa, but he's not a Lannister at the end of the day, technically. And I get the feeling that Cersei, you know, didn't always pay the most attention to him, and she's getting cut out right now. Both sides, by everybody.
She's turning into a drunk that just stays in a room and grovels.
And this is actually the perfect transition to our next point. I've always wanted to do this. Nope, missed it. Hold on.
Nice.
Nope, is that it? Yeah,
that's it.
Jaime, Tyrion, Cersei, so the Lannisters.
No, let's do it right here. Jaime / Tyrion / Brienne / because there was lots more slashes.
Yes. So
yeah, so all this,
a lot to get into here.
This was very complicated. Okay, I said it last week. I have to say this first because I still don't know, and I'm not a woman, obviously, so I don't know how they would feel about this.
I can tell you.
But after the rape scene, right?
I've never mind.
Yes. No, after the rape scene, I know there was lots of consternation about how that was filmed and the differences between the book and the show with that. And Jaime, to a lot of people, and I said I thought he was pretty much irredeemable. And then it's almost like they just push that aside, and now he's becoming a good guy again in this episode. So I don't know.
Jaime,
it's not. That's the one thing. I haven't had very many criticisms of Game of Thrones throughout the time watching it, but I don't think they handled this scenario very well in the show.
Now, why is that exactly? Because are you saying because it changed from him raping her to him
becoming
being so nice.
Right.
But if you look at Jaime's character, he's almost like a drug addict in that he's been a very likable guy with just about everything he does, unless it involves Cersei.
Right.
He is just obsessed with her. He's absolutely in love with her. She drives him crazy, but otherwise, he seems like a good guy. He saved everybody in King's Landing, putting his own reputation on the line. He had a lot of good scenes this last episode. He gives Brienne the Valyrian steel blade, which is huge.
That was a great scene.
Which is, I don't think I would have done
armor.
it. I don't think I would have done it. I mean, the armor's cool.
I think
give her a finely forged sword, but phew.
Okay, here's what I got from that though. I got that was kind of him getting rid of his father out of his life because his father gave him that sword, and he doesn't like it. I don't think he likes his father anymore.
No, he definitely doesn't. He doesn't really like any of his family except for his sister. He is just in love with Cersei
and his brother, I guess, right?
For whatever reason. Yeah, and he likes Tyrion. Him and Tyrion have always gotten along as brothers do, but that Jaime's just always been such an interesting character to me because you start off hating him so much, pushes Bran out the window. Then you start to like him more and more and more, and then he does some other questionable stuff, like with, even though, and like the show filmed it, I think maybe where you're getting such a big disparity between the episodes and why isn't Cersei more upset with Jaime?
Yeah.
I think that maybe they made it seem like we kind of talked about a little too much like rape.
So that's exactly. I don't have a problem with his character necessarily. I have a problem with the way it was filmed and portrayed. Like I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
I know, but I incline to agree with you because it was like Cersei, wasn't like get out of my room. I wasn't upset. Yeah. I think because she still has some of those feelings, and maybe that wasn't as one-sided as originally thought.
So that's what I'm gonna. I think the way that you read the book, the way George R. R. Martin
I mean, I'm coming real quick. As far as the book goes, very hazy on the details. Yeah. So I'm coming at the show pretty fresh. Like I'm interpreting.
Well, what I read the book is he said it. George R. R. Martin said it. We talked about it last week, but that wasn't supposed to be rape. It was supposed to be consensual.
Okay. Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm trying to now look at this, even though it was filmed poorly. I think most people agree that scene was filmed poorly. I'm trying to think about it. Well, okay, even though they filmed it poorly, it really was supposed to be consensual, and that'll kind of. I'm trying to do that so it'll frame my.
It would make more sense
a little bit.
It would make more sense to the show.
So we have to talk about Jaime and Tyrion.
And we'll go to Jaime and Tyrion, then we'll talk about Jaime and Cersei combo. So.
Or I guess we can talk. Jaime and Cersei came first. Right?
Okay.
So yeah.
Jaime and Cersei. Like you said, Cersei's drunk in her room all the time. And she's kind of going so crazy. Like, she obviously really loved Joffrey.
Yeah.
And she's kind of losing it so badly that, she's starting to question Jaime, his commitment to her, etc., etc. And then she hits him with the, I know you swore that oath to Lady Catelyn, but if I told you to go hunt down Sansa right now and kill her, what would you do?
Yeah. And I guess I lied. That scene actually came after the Tyrion scene in the prison, but it was interesting that he basically told her that he wasn't going to kill his brother for her.
Yeah.
He had more allegiance to his brother than her. Now,
well, and he doesn't believe his brother did it.
Yeah.
And he loves his brother. You're not going to kill your brother if you don't think that he kills your son. And I'm still not. I don't think Jaime, for Joffrey being his son, Jaime doesn't seem to have too much of an fatherly attachment to him, which makes sense.
Yeah, because nobody wanted him to be, quote, be the father.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, Joffrey was never treat him like a dad, etc., etc. So
do you think Jaime will have a role, I guess but from the show's perspective, will have a role in what happens to Tyrion? Because I'm still a little bit, I don't know if he will or not. Because it seemed like to me he went and told Tyrion that, yes, I love you, I'll help you, I'll support you, do what I can, but I'm not going to set you free.
Yeah, he told him straight up. He's not going to help him out of the prison cell. Now, when it comes to trial time, will Jaime step up in his defense? I'm inclined to believe he would, but then again, he did mention the fact that he's Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, and that comes a lot of responsibility, and you can't really be seen defending the guy who looks like he killed the king when your only job is to protect said king. So Jaime in a really tough spot, but there were a couple nice moments between him and Tyrion in that jail cell where you got that brotherly connection. It's like...
Do you really think I would, what was it?
He said,
kill you. Do you really think I'd kill my son?
Exactly. He said, do you really think I'd kill you? And then he goes, do you really think I'd kill your son? And that was like one of those, like, all right, you know what? You're right. A lot of people are saying stuff. It's just crazy. We're still bros at the end of the day,
right.
But I can't get you out of this jail because I'd lose my job.
Yeah.
So I mean, Tyrion still in very hot water. Side note, sub character who, and I guess this runs in because Jamie, we talked about, had the great scene with Brienne where he gives her the sword, which is called Oathkeeper.
Oathkeeper, right.
To go find Sansa, which would technically, in a way, keep his oath to Lady Catelyn, makes sword appropriate.
And her oath, too.
And her oath. And her oath as well. And Brienne has a new traveling partner.
Right.
Little Padre.
Little fun. I'm glad. I thought we'd seen the last of him after last episode. He's actually kind of a little bit of a dry comic relief character.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's got the goofy little smile.
And you need that, right?
He looks all happy, especially in a show like Game of Thrones. You need something like that.
Right.
And it was nice to see Pod. You think he seems like he's going to be safe, or as safe as you can be.
Yes.
He's not going to get assassinated. He's not going to be brought into court. He's leaving with Brienne, which is
I feel nice
to see.
And we're going to see the rest of the season them traveling.
And
together.
Brienne will
maybe more than one season.
I mean, you would imagine that Brienne would treat him right.
Right. Well, you think.
Well, she's more chivalrous than most of the knights on the show.
Oh yeah, no. In that aspect, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So she seems to have a pretty good moral. So I think that pretty much knocks out then the King's Landing part. So next. We already touched on Marjorie and Tommen.
Crazy aspect.
Oh, it's about to get good. And this is some of my favorite parts of this last episode. Jon Snow and the Night's Watch.
Yes, and this involves Bran as well. That's why I put Bran exclamation point on there, because we saw
converging of characters.
Right.
Almost.
I tell you, Jon Snow's it's interesting because right now is a very important. Going to be an important couple episodes for him, because right now he's rallying his fellow Night's Watch members to his side. And remember, we just learned, and they never said this in the show before, that apparently it is a, quote, democracy, whoever becomes the Night's Watch commander. Like, it's voted in. We didn't know that till this episode. Well,
it's because there was never a need for another Lord Commander. Yeah. But yes, the Night's Watch is you vote him, you'll take a vote. Everybody puts names in a hat, and whoever gets
And it seems like Jon Snow would be the one, because everybody likes him a lot more than anybody's actually who's in command. He's got
a lot going for him. Sylvester Thorne still has good political, like he has his cronies, right? You see him going around together. So,
but not support among the common.
No, definitely not. But it seems like they're setting it up where it's going to be between those two. And I can't remember his name, but the old captain of the Gold Cloaks from King's Landing, the one that Tyrion sends to the wall.
Yeah.
He obviously is used to city politics, and he can kind of smell what you were talking about on the wind, that Jon has all that groundswell of support. So then they say, okay, Jon, you know what? You wanted to go attack Craster's Keep to kill the traitors so they don't give information to Night's Watch? Why don't you go ahead? And they're expecting Jon to get killed, hopefully, so that he won't be able to challenge for that lower command.
Yeah, and there is a mole in the mix here.
Yes.
There's a snake in the oil, so to speak, because there is what's his name?
Ramsay
Bolton's.
Roose Bolton's homeboy.
Right.
What is his name? He chopped off Jaime Lannister's hand.
Got the scars on his eyes.
Got the scars on his eyes, the goatee. He shows up at the Night's Watch. He has a story about, like, dude committed a crime, tried to feed his family. You know, something very something very sympathetic. But remember, this is the same guy who, when he rolled up on Ramsay and Winterfell, was like, Ramsay's like, I heard you chop the Kingslayer's hand off. He's like, oh, you should have heard him scream. You would have loved it. So he's very sick as well. And his game is to find Brandon Rickon. Well, he is doing an excellent job being a mole, because he's now managed to weasel his way into Jon's group with a little bit of charm and a little bit of fighting prowess. And now he is in the team that is heading to Craster's Keep to kill the traitors.
Yeah, take on the mutineers. And in the middle of all that, we saw Bran and his group get captured by these mutineers, and Carl, now the leader of that crazy group.
And we should talk about Carl.
Carl's crazy.
Carl's insane. I really like Carl
as much as Ramsay Snow.
I really like that actor, first off. He was in Pacific Rim. He's been in a few other things.
He's nuts, man.
But Carl, I don't even know if he had a name before this last episode. Like, he was very much in the periphery. They're bringing him to the forefront. It definitely seems like, you know, they're establishing his fighting prowess, right?
And even his fellow mutineers are scared of him.
Yeah.
They showed that, right?
They made a point of telling you what a good fighter he is.
Yeah.
They had him drinking out the skull, like, when I was back in gin, all that stuff, you know, and now look at me now, and talking about how he never lost a fight, and when he got a contract to kill, they were dead. He obviously intimidates everybody else. So I think what they're setting up is going to be a battle between him and Jon, right? I mean, because Jon's always been known as a great fighter. He's known as a great fighter. In the scenes from the next episode, it seemed like they showed maybe a little like sword clash or something. So
see, I didn't see the preview. That was.
I'm really excited for his. Or I just like his character. I think they did a good job developing him quickly too. From 0 to 60 with that guy, they let you know his personality, let you know where his traits.
I feel like that not all the good guys are going to come out of this scenario unscathed. Remember, you got Bran, Rickon, his group, and then Jon Snow coming in with them stuck in the middle here. I just don't think that everyone's going to come out unharmed, and the good guys are going to. And that's Game of Thrones, I suppose. The good guys don't win. So
everyone's converging on Craster's Keep, and perhaps one of the scariest parts is that Bran and Rickon are now captured by the traitors. And even though Jon's coming to save them, which would be awesome because the brothers finally reunited, oh wait, Jon has a traitor in his group who wants nothing more than to kill Bran and Rickon.
Do you think that traitor in the midst could be another one of those stories from bad to good, kind of like Jaime was? Like maybe he'll realize that the threat is a little bit bigger eventually out there. I could see it eventually. Maybe not this next episode or in 2 episodes. But down the line, like he's now, no matter what happens here, right? He is a member of the Night's Watch. And if he were to leave, he would be hunted down.
See,
again.
But he strikes me as the type of guy who would just leave.
But wouldn't they hunt him down? Would the Night's Watch hunt him down?
But does the North, because think about it, in the first ever episode, when the guy runs away from the Night's Watch, who kills him? Ned Stark, right? It seems like the authority in the North, it's very chaotic. Is there even, and they only have 100 men in the Night's Watch now? Yeah. Is there any way they could track him down if he wanted to leave? And you know the Boltons, if he kills the kids, the Boltons aren't going to kill him after coming back. So it's a little dangerous. I just think he looks so confident and willing to kill that I don't see him changing into a good guy. But it's definitely possible. All I know is it's going down and Craster's Keep, and all I know is I hate those traitors for what they did to Hodor.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
That was sad, man. Okay, why do they... Here, I have a beef with the show. And all shows.
Yeah.
Why do they always make big guys like you and me simpletons?
I don't know.
And into those unintelligent people.
I'm probably the most intelligent person I know, so that's like really dumb.
Except for me.
No, I'm more intelligent.
Well, we just ooze intelligence when we host Double.
I use intelligence. You leak it.
I sop it up.
I spew it forth.
Yeah.
You sop up
like a sponge.
You sponge up everything I spew out of my body.
Okay, that's...
Okay, so back on topic. I don't know why they make the giant people simpletons, but Hodor is a giant.
I want to talk about Bran for 1 second because the way I think they set it up beautifully, but a little bit predictably, in that Bran is going to end up using the wolves in some aspect here when the fight comes.
Yes,
right?
But what is up with Summer? It looked like she fell in a trap or something.
I thought she died, but then they didn't show her again, so maybe she's not dead. Right?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know either. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. Last we saw, it looked like she sees what's Jon's ghost. Sure. Falls in a trap. Bran wakes up like Summer's hurt, and that's the last we hear.
But I think they would have made more of a big deal, or he would have been more sad if she was dead. And he was dead. She or he?
I don't know actually. I agree with you though. I agree with you. I think they would have made a big deal, and the fact that that Jon's direwolf ghost is still alive. It seems like we might be getting a little double direwolf debauchery. I was trying to do some alliteration.
Yes, and you've got multiple wargs in that group.
Yep.
Correct. So there could be multiple wolves coming to the rescue here.
It's about to go down at Craster's Keep, I think, is bottom line. That might be the next big battle just because it's so imminent. John and them are already riding out. I don't see how you don't include that in the next episode.
Well, we've got the battle, and that one, I didn't see that one coming.
Neither did I.
Until this last episode. So you've got the battle for Craster's Keep. You've obviously got the looming wildling attack that has to come sometime. I mean, there's too many of them for it not to come.
It can't be hiding out forever, yeah.
Right, and then you've also got the Tyrion's trial, right? The three big kind of things.
Oh, God.
Big things. There's lots of little things like...
And Daenerys took over
and,
the city.
Right.
I
feel like Daenerys... I feel like maybe that was her climax for this season because she just took...
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, there'll still be more episodes, obviously, with her, and her story arc will progress, but that, I don't know.
I just feel like...
Remember, there's only 5 more episodes left? So...
That's true. 6.
Yeah.
It's been 4. So we got 6 episodes left. I just feel like there's no way that could have been the peak. But maybe. But
not for her entire. I'm just saying for this season. No,
for this season. Surely she's got one more challenge.
Maybe.
I feel like they normally end the season with Daenerys kind of
right in a cliffhanger, though, right?
A little bit.
In a cliffhanger. So what I meant by that is I think she's reached her as powerful as she will currently
and then
go.
she's going to trouble, and then be on the edge of
by the time the season ends.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what
It's not a bad theory.
Just kind of knowing, the way these stories.
Okay, real quick, run out of time.
Yeah, the White Walkers.
White Walkers.
Great scene, by the way. A lot of people, I was reading reviews.
Babies. A lot of people probably thought it was a little over the top.
They thought it was over the top. They thought the end, whatever you call Ice Palace or whatever they're in, kind of looked a little Superman-ish. I suppose. I loved it too.
I don't know. I'm just a fan of high fantasy, but
yeah, that's the only. I guess the dragons and that are only really high fantasy aspects of the show.
Yeah, that's true. It's the only real magic kind of part. But I just loved how. Well, first they had the White Walker that we introduced. Oh God, the dead horse! I love the dead horse. I am such a fan. I've always been a fan of zombie horses.
It's very Nazgul,
where you can see their teeth through holes in their cheeks, and they nailed the dead horse look.
Okay, I have a question with this though. Being a big Lord of the Rings fan, did they model them too much after the Nazgul sources?
No, because if you look at the Nazgul steed, while they have red eyes and they're a little frothing, they're not just decomposing like those things were. Those things were just, you're seeing tendons and bones and just no skin in some places. So I loved the dead horse, the White Walker on top of the crate. And then we saw some sort of King White Walker. Yes. At the end, had horns, almost a little Darth Maul-ish. Love that. And what happened with that baby at the end? Turned it into a White Walker. It appeared. What do you think?
Yeah, well, and we knew anybody who just thought they were just eating babies, I think was insane. Obviously, they were doing something with the babies besides just taking them away. So that's a good question. I don't think they're making them into White Walkers because that would take way too long, right? Maybe they are, but I think there's something. I don't know.
Okay, this is interesting because I actually thought that they were definitely making them into White Walkers because the eyes go blue, the skin color starts to change.
No, they're using them for some kind of magical...
like a magical conduit or something?
Yeah, kind of like a conduit. That's my theory on this. I don't think they're making them into White Walkers.
Wow.
But I could be wrong.
No, I just think that's very interesting because I would have never gotten that. See, so this is good. This is why we do ThroneCast.
In one sentence or so, what do you think's coming next? Big things in the next episode.
Big things next. Okay,
everybody likes predictions, right?
The battle.
He sucks at predicting.
I do, especially if I lay money on it. The Battle of Craster's Keep.
That's true. Okay.
That's my one sentence.
That's it? Do you have anything else?
I think that's going to be the main part of the next episode.
Okay, I'm going to say Battle for Craster's Keep, and we get more Reek/Ramsay.
Oh, poor Theon.
Yeah.
Poor Theon.
Okay.
All right.
ThroneCast every Monday. Check us out. Check him out every day, Monday through Friday.
Yep. And
double coverage, 6 to 9 a.m. on 3WL 1350 or on the TuneIn Radio app. You just search 3WL, no matter where you are in the country, in the world, you can actually find it.
I couldn't do any better than that. He's Seth Dunlap. You can find him on Twitter at Seth Dunlap. I'm at TBob53. Thank you. See you next week. 10 viewers.